Hi everyone, Grant at Nutanix here. Welcome to 5 in 5, where we'll be discussing 5 topics on a Nutanix subject. Today, I'll be looking at Nutanix AES, the Autonomous Extent Store, and how through a simple software update, we've changed the way that the Nutanix software handles I/O. So, come with me, let's go and take a look at this change to the Nutanix core data path. To understand the benefits that AES brings to the core data path of Nutanix, it's first worth understanding how I/O is handled within the Nutanix software. Any sequential writes are written straight to an extent store that sits across HDDs and SSDs in a hybrid environment. Any random writes are written directly to an op log that resides on the SSD, and then over time will drain down to the extent store that again still sits on the SSD and the HDD. If this were an all-flash or a mixture of NVMe and SSD environment, that SSD portion would just be extended down to the HDD component. From there, if the write resides still in the op log, it'll be read out from there. And if it has drained to the extent store, it will then be brought up into a unified cache that sits across memory in the SSD of the CVM and then read out from the platform. Now let's have a look at how AES changes the I/O path. With the write I/O, we're examining the write characteristics of it. If it's bursty, we write it directly to that op log that sits on the SSDs, tier 0. And then if it's sustained random, we'll write it directly to the extent store as we do with sequential writes. In those cases, if they are read, they need to come up from a cache into a unified cache that sits on the memory and SSD of the CVM, or from the op log side of things, they are read directly out of it. Now, the big change around this, really where this has come from, and it's hard to describe in these slides, is about the metadata. And we're localizing the metadata for each of these writes to reduce the amount of latency and improve the higher IOPS and throughput that's possible with that. Although this is a simple update of AOS and all clusters will receive the benefits of AES in time, there are some requirements that must be heeded to see the real benefit of this. This was released in AOS 5.10. At that point, we needed 12 SSDs or any number of NVMe drives to leverage the full performance of AES. 5.11 we reduced that to 8, 5.15 to 6, and in the future we'll bring this to hybrid clusters as well. If you want to know a little bit more about AES, head on over to the Nutanix Bible, expand down the menu, scroll down past the Book of Prism, the Nutanix Management Interface, down to the Book of Acropolis, the software, and we want to find out about the I/O path. Here we go. So here's an overview of how I/O is handled. And a little bit further on down here, we come across the op log, the extent store, and AES. So hopefully that's been of a great benefit to you and giving you a greater understanding of how Nutanix AES works.